Hi, welcome back, and it's great to have our human rights and religious freedom guy in the studio again, James Standish. How are you, James?
Great to be back, Kent.
Now, James, we hear a lot of talk in the media and I guess in the comments under the articles online about religion and violence, and often the focus is on Islam, often it's on Christianity.
Sure.
What it's usually not on is Buddhism. But that's not an entirely accurate perception, is it?
Well, unfortunately, violence is associated with the human condition. And it doesn't matter if you're secularist, if you're Christian, if you're Muslim, if you're Buddhist, if you're Hindu, etc., or Sikh. It doesn't matter which religious tradition you're looking at, particularly one that has some serious history.
But James, Buddhism does have a particular association with being peaceful, with being compassionate. Is that not the man with the orange tie? You should know.
Well, you know, I grew up in Asia, so of course I've lived in a majority Buddhist cultures. And the truth is, well, I've lived in Thailand. Thailand has a murder rate that's 5 times higher than Australia. So when
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so when we come to sort of talking about these stereotypes, I think that there's a disconnect between what people sometimes aspire to and what they actually do. And that's the case, as I said, across the board. That doesn't mean that the aspirations aren't worthy. One of the principles of Buddhism is don't kill. That's why a lot of Buddhists, or at least some Buddhists, are vegetarian, because they take that principle broadly. Of course, most aren't vegetarian.
Sure.
But there's also traditions of warrior monks in Japan. There's traditions of of looking at violence and asking what violence is justified and what isn't, just like there is in Christianity.
Sure, the just war doctrine.
The just war idea. And in addition, of course, there's the confluence of religion and nationalism. And that's what we're seeing in Myanmar right now, where the ruling military has taken Buddhism as part of their national identity, and of course, as part of that, has unleashed some fairly significant violence against the Muslim minority there.
It's not just the military, though, is it? I mean, we also had this nationalist Buddhist monk movement.
Well, that's exactly right. But those two things are not independent. In other words, the nationalism, the monks that are nationalists have the approval of the military and so forth. So there's this symbiotic relationship, just like there has been at times past in Christianity, just like there has been and is now in Islam.
So in Myanmar, or Burma if you prefer, we have this situation where the people who we think would be the most peaceful, the Buddhists, are actually hassling the Muslims, the Rohingya Muslims, which are often seen to be on the other side of
that's right, and they'd have their justifications, just like there always are with ethno-religious or these kinds of conflicts. The point is this, though, Ken, I think the takeaway point is don't look at religions in a stereotypical perspective, and also don't expect that everyone who adheres to a religion to adhere to it in the purest form. The reality is, no matter what faith you aspire to, whether it's the Buddhist path or whatever it is, in my case, Christianity, the reality is that the impulses that we all have as humans, because we're sinful, we're fallen, we're broken in a sense, is towards violence, is towards being unkind to others. It is not turning the other cheek or all those sorts of principles.
It's about power and domination, isn't it?
And when we and when we see it in ourselves or in others, recognize it for what it is. It's not Buddhism that's the problem in this particular case, or even in other cases, Christianity, or even atheism, although all of these philosophies have natural outworkings. But nonetheless, look at it for what it is, and that is a human condition, and look to combat it, not by dissing someone's faith, but by appealing and dealing with the root problem, which is, of course, a broken human nature, and of course, we have to work against any kind of inclinations towards this within our own communities.
Well, yeah, human to human, it's an important way to see other people, isn't it?
It's absolutely critical, rather than than the typical thing where we write off religion, but as soon as you do that, then you look at the history of agnosticism or atheism. It's even worse. So there's violence wherever you look.
That's right. Yeah. Hey, thanks so much for those insights, James. I really appreciate your time this week.
It's a pleasure.